Hi guys, in this Project 5 video, I've split it into two parts. Now in this first part we're going to have a look at creating part of this page that you see on the screen here. In particular, we're going to have a look at grabbing some fonts from two locations. One is going to be some online fonts using Google Fonts, which is going to be used for the heading that you see here. What is the greenhouse effect? And this energy in, energy out one. Excuse me. And the other one we're going to use is a font which we're going to download. So the difference is going to be that the Google font is a font which is something that you need to be online for to use, an online font therefore. And the downloaded font will be on your computer. So even if you're not online, the web browser will still be able to use that font. Okay, so let's get this underway. So I'm going to use Dreamweaver for this. You could also use Notepad++ or brackets if you wish to. Okay, so in Dreamweaver here is basically the finished product. Now I'm going to go to an index file that I've partially created already. Don't forget that you need to create a Project 5 folder, and in that Project 5 folder you'll need this index file that you will need to create, and you also need to create three different folders, one called fonts, one called images, and one called text files. Okay, so let's assume that you've done that. Now the index file that you need to create, pretty much a blank index file. If I take out the styling, okay, it's this blank index file. The title will be Greenhouse Gases and the Environment. Okay, I'm going to put those styles back. So what you need to do at this stage is probably pause the video and put these styles into your page as well. There's styles that you've seen in previous videos, so I'm not going to comment on those at this stage. Okay, so assuming that you've now created the styles, okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to grab the text needed for this particular page. So on OneNote, that text file is here. Okay, it's under Project 5, and it's this greenhouse. What is the greenhouse effect? Greenhouse text with tags inserted. So this text here, you can simply open it in Notepad or some other text editor, then go Control A to select everything, and let's now go to your web editor like Notepad++. Inside the body, make sure you go to inside the body tag, paste that in, and that's not what I wanted, so let's try that again. Right, that's better. And as you see, I've already inserted various paragraph and heading tags. Okay, save your page. Let's take a quick look at this inside a browser. So here it is at the moment, no images, and just a default sort of text fonts that you get from the browser. Okay, so let's go about trying to change the fonts which are going to be used for the headings. So I'm just going to close that now. Go back to here, and what we're going to do is we're going to use some Google Fonts for that. So I'm going to jump to a browser, and I'm going to go to the website Google Fonts. So if you don't have that open already, simply do a web search for Google Fonts and go to this first link here. Okay, now this is what Google Fonts looks like these days, and what we're going to do over in the search area here in the top right, we're going to have a look for a couple of different fonts. So I'm just going to remind myself again what those two fonts are. Okay, one's going to be called Varela, and the other one is going to be called Aclonica. So let's go back to here and let's search for Varela. There it is, and I think we'll just use the standard Varela font here, this one here. Okay, and you click the plus sign here to basically just go with the default standard Varela options. Okay, and you'll see down here it says one family selected. Now back where it's got search, let's search for Aclonica. Okay, and there's only one option here, and let's click plus there. And now we've got, if we click on this, okay, that did not work. Let's click plus. Okay, and now it says two family selected. That's what it should say. Now, if you click on this sort of dark, very dark brown or even almost black bar here, you'll see that this pops up, and there is some important information that you need to take through to your web page. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to link to these two fonts, and this code here provided by Google is what you need to copy over. So I've highlighted it in blue. Make sure you grab all of that, including the closing triangle bracket, and let's just copy that. And on our web page, okay, up here inside the head region, definitely not inside the style, but inside the head region, maybe after the title, simply paste that in. Okay, and you'll notice that it is including information about both of the fonts here. Okay, Aclonica and Varela. Now, how do we actually use that in our page itself? Okay, let's just remove this. Okay, at the moment, the H1 and H2 tags are using standard Arial. So if we save our page, have a look at that inside a browser again, this font here is Arial. So we want to use Varela for a start. So how do I do that? Okay, what you need to do is we need to specify Varela as part of the font family. So if we copy that, now I could put that here, but I've already got Arial here already. So what I'm going to do is add Varela, and you'll notice that it requires this font to be inside some quotation marks, single quote marks here. So we don't need that font family second time. Now, what should happen if we've now linked up here to that font and we've specified Varela to be used as the first font for H1 and H2, Arial and the sans serif would be used if Varela is not available. For example, if you're not online, it's because Arial's part of the fonts which are available on any computer. Okay, it will default through the Arial if it can't get hold of this Varela font. And because this font is an online one, you need to be online to grab that or to use it. Okay, so since I'm online, hopefully if I now reopen that in a browser, okay, we have this different font. Okay, so that's what this Varela font looks like. If I jump back to Arial, it looks pretty similar, but there is a subtle difference there. Okay, and if I wanted to use that Aclonica font, okay, if I go back to here, if I want that to be the standard one, I need to put that first. And as long as I've spelt that correctly, if I now open this in a browser, okay, here is this Aclonica font, which is the one which is being used for the headings. Now that's not a very good font to use for headings, okay, unless you had particular circumstances where that might be an appropriate font, but it's not really a great font for this page. So I'm going to go back to Dreamweaver, and I'm actually going to remove that. Just because you're linking to it doesn't mean you need to use it here. Okay, so I'm going to save that. All right, so there's our use of an online font or two. Okay, and what you can do in your browser is actually search sometimes for good or top fonts used for web pages. So okay, so you could go, what's some good fonts to use for body text on a web page? Okay, and this 20 best web fonts awards, okay, could be something that, you know, you might get some ideas as to what might be some good fonts to use. Okay, and some of those might be ones which are available on Google Fonts. So that's something for you to have a look at. All right, now what about this font being used for the body text? Well, this is a font which is I'm downloading and saving on my computer to be used in my web page. So how do I go about doing that? Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go to a website called Font Squirrel. Okay, so let me just reopen that. So this is fontsquirrel.com, and the font, okay, I'm going to use is something called Delicious. How did I know about this font? Well, it came from actually doing a search like this one here, and Delicious is one of the fonts recommended. So let's go back to Font Squirrel, Delicious. I'm going to search for that. Okay, and here it is. Okay, so on this Font Squirrel, when you found Delicious, here is a link where it says we're going to download this, because this font is available off-site, so it's not actually available on the Font Squirrel site. We need to go to the site where it is available, even though it is a free font. So I'm going, if you check the license there, it says free for personal and commercial use. So I'm going to click on download OTF. This should take me to where the font is available, which is on this Font Foundry site here, and I'm going to download the PC OpenType version. So click on that, and it should download this zip folder here. So I'm going to show in folder. I'm going to cut that from there. I'm then going to go to my Project 5. I'm going to paste that there, and I'm going to extract it. Okay, this is what's inside. These are OpenType font family. Now I'll come back to that in a minute, but back in Project 5, I can now delete the zip folder. I don't need that anymore. Now, Delicious 123, in a moment, we're going to put into the fonts folder, but not just yet. Now, one of the things about this OpenType font family is that not all web browsers can use it. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert this OpenType font family or font file into some other compatible font types that browsers can use. So how do we do that? Well, I'm going to go back to Font Squirrel. And I'm going to go from this menu here, this thing called Generator. So it should be available on this navigation area here. Now what we need to do is we need to upload those Delicious fonts. So here they are, and I'm simply going to select them all, click open, and it's now uploading those, and I do need to click the agreement. Yes, the fonts I'm uploading are legally eligible for web embedding, and when I had a look at the license for Delicious, it said it was free for personal and commercial use. Okay, so this is simply uploading. I'm going to pause the video while it's doing that. Now that took around about 2 or 3 minutes for the fonts to get uploaded. It depends on the speed of the connection you've got, either at home or at school. But after a while, this should be uploaded. Now, once that has uploaded, you then need to click on Download Your Kit, which is your font kit. Now, that will take, once again, a little bit of time to download those. You notice here the percentage signs. So this is tuning its way through, creating the compatible font types that browsers can use. And there we go. Finished, and it's downloaded this web font kit here. So once again, I'm going to show that in a folder. I'm going to cut it from there, go back to my project 5. I'm going to paste that. I'm going to extract it. Okay, and there's all the fonts and the style sheet. I'll come back to that in a minute. So back here, delete that zip folder. Now this web font kit, we're going to refer to the name of this in a moment on our web page. And this is very difficult to remember and also to type accurately. So at this stage, I'm going to get you to rename that simply to Web Font Kit. Okay, now at this stage, I'm going to get you to move Delicious123 and Web Font Kit into fonts. Now, since I've already got those in there, it's going to ask me to overwrite what I've already got, which I will do. And Web Font Kit. You won't be asked to replace the files in the destination unless you've done that previously. So inside fonts, we now have this. This is an old thing that I also had in there, so I'm simply going to delete that. This is the two things you should have. Now, you need to go into Web Font Kit, that folder, and find this thing called Style Sheet. Here are all the different kinds of web font formats for this delicious font. You don't need to worry about that. There's simply different styles of different types of font files. Okay, so a WOFF file, a true type font file, etc. Okay, open up Style Sheet, and I'm going to open that with Notepad++ will do. And here is the kind of stuff we need to put into our web page. Now, I want to use the Delicious Roman one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is ignore these other ones here, and I'm simply going to grab this stuff for Delicious Roman. Let's copy that, go to my web page, and here in the style area, I need to put that information. So I'm going to put that at the bottom of the style. Oops, don't need that PR. Break. Okay, and let's paste that. Okay. And the other thing I'm going to need to do is where it's got the font family, okay, that Delicious Roman, if I want to use that as part of the body, okay, I need to put it in here. In fact, I have already done that. Now, I'm just going to pause for a moment. I just want to make sure I have put this at font face in the right area. Yes, I have put in this in the right area. There's only one thing that we do need to add in. This URL is a path to where it can find the font type that it's going to need. Now remember, we put this into a folder called fonts, and inside that was Web Font Kit, and inside that is where we've got the various files that we're going to need to access. So back here we're going to need to put in front of that delicious, etc. We need to put fonts, sorry, plural. And then we need to put web font kit, and then that /. So let me just copy that bit and put it here as well. And let's save that. Make sure you don't remove this comma at the end here, that's needed. And all going well, hopefully this will look like the way I want it to, which it does. Okay, so if I compare that to what we had here a moment ago, this one, okay, this is when we had that Varela as the heading, but this body text was still Arial. Comparing that to this, I certainly like the look of this font a lot better than the standard Arial one. Okay, so that's starting to take shape. The only other thing we'll do at this stage is we will, I'm just going to put the web page into a div so that it is not across the whole of the page, but takes up only some of the thing and it's centered. Okay, so here on the body, okay, I'm going to insert a div with a class of wrapper. Let's close that, and we also need to move that closing div to just before the end of the body. Now, so I know that is referring to the end of the wrapper div, I'm going to put a comment in here, and I'm going to call that end of wrapper. And that's how you can put a comment into the HTML. Exclamation dash 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 dash, and then that closing bracket. That's an exclamation sign. Okay, and let's apply some styles to the wrapper. So because it's a class, we go dot wrapper. Okay, and just to save a bit of time, I'm going to copy them from this one I've already done. So in this case, when I originally did this page, I had the width being 850. I'm going to leave it like that so it matches the rest of the video. And then margin left and right auto will center the page inside the browser window, and some margin at the top and margin at the bottom. So there's a bit of room at top and bottom for the page. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so here's that 20 pixels top, and here's that 20 pixels bottom. I'm going to pause that, so let me not do that. And it's now 850 pixels wide and centered in the browser window. Okay, so that's the end of that first video, and the other video will help you to create the rest of the page. Okay, catch you in the second video.